An investment like never seen before, more than $15 billion from the Biden administration to push automakers to switch to electric vehicles. Ford jumped on it, ramping up production fast on new flagships like a revamped Mustang.
We take our Mustang Mach-E everywhere.
And the F-150 Lightning. For auto workers like Michelle Thomas, that meant more work in a growing field, flush with cash.
We were just excited about being a part of something new. We were anticipating, like, hey, we're going to have some long work days. We were really going to make some good money.
Ford fielded thousands of orders thanks to the $7,500 tax credit that pushed 87% of buyers to take advantage of this massive investment, according to a J.D. Power study. But experts estimate sales could drop by 27% if the tax credit goes away. President-elect Trump has not shied away from his distaste for electric vehicle incentives and mandates.
I think they have a great purpose. But you can't go all electric. You want gasoline-powered cars.
The Trump campaign did not respond to our request for comment on this story. For workers like Michelle, that threatens her livelihood.
If your goal as our president is to see that we're able to live the American dream, then why would you do something that could affect that?
Electric vehicles are a factor in combating climate change, which is why President Biden's Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, criticized the incoming Trump administration for the rollback threat, putting a geopolitical twist on her pitch to keep those projects going.
It just is counterproductive. Why would we take a backseat to an economic competitor like China? They have an economic strategy. They want to be number one. So if we get out of the game, we're just going to cede that territory all over again? It's bad strategy for the United States and for workers and for communities across the country.
But some experts point out getting rid of the tax credit could loosen regulations and ultimately produce more jobs.
You can make hybrids, plug-in hybrids, range extender hybrids. Those all have jobs and more jobs potentially than just an EV because you have more components.
One automaker open to this change? Tesla, which only makes EVs and is run by the auto exec with Mr. Trump's ear, Elon Musk. Musk, who's been tapped to run an advisory board to make recommendations on budget cuts, suggested on his social media platform X that he wants to end all government subsidies, including for EVs. But there's another factor. Musk said in an earnings call this year that getting rid of the tax credit would be devastating for his competitors and actually helps Tesla long term. That's why it seems most automakers want things to stay the same. The New York Times reporting a coalition of 42 auto companies wrote a letter to President-elect Trump asking him not to scrap the federal regulations that push the industry to sell EVs. We should note Ford declined to participate in this piece, even as its workers speak out.
The money has been invested, so to just turn away from it, it could be devastating for a lot of companies.
Mark DePaoli, the first vice president of the UAW Local 600, watched battleground Michigan swing for Trump, in part due to union workers who broke from the union leadership's endorsement of Vice President Harris. What do you hope the next administration focuses on in terms of these jobs?
I think everybody, from workers all the way to the executives of the company, are really looking for stability. Because nobody really knows right now where we're headed for the future.
Maura Barrett joining us now with more on this. So as we kind of talk about the potential cutting of this tax credit, it's not just going to have an impact on Michigan. It could have an impact on other states like Georgia.
Yeah, Yasmin, Georgia has invested a lot ramping up in EV products or parts that are essential for building EVs, like batteries. And so if that tax credit goes away and companies can't invest the same way in EVs, they turn more towards gas-powered vehicles again or hybrids, they use different parts, different batteries. And so that means that those workers could lose jobs or they'd have to pivot their skill set. Though the most important note here is that President-elect Trump cannot roll back this tax credit all on his own. That's something that only Congress can do. Trump, though, can try to convince regulators to adjust the policy to make sure that less people apply or are eligible for the credit, for example. Now, this whole conversation, though, happening as automakers have really invested those EV factories, plants in Republican-dominated states. Yasmin.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.